Concord has been an epic disaster for Sony. They spent hundreds of millions of dollars buying Firewalk Studios and sinking money into the development of this game just for it to release and nobody want to play it. But now, while you can no longer buy Concord on the PS5 or PC, Sony has launched the official merchandise in their storefront and everybody on the internet is memeing on them. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, sometimes things are too freaking hilarious to not cover on this channel. I had to talk about this because it's freaking hilarious to me. The fact that Sony just does not understand that nobody liked Concord, but they still decided, you know what, we have this merchandise, let's release it and see if it sells. And to top it off, it's got a little bestseller tag, even though, well, the game wasn't a bestseller, and I highly doubt the merch is best-selling. It says, though, as you will no doubt have heard, Sony's multiplayer shooter Concord has been removed from sale indefinitely, with no confirmation of when or if it'll return. I do think that they will release this free-to-play at some point down the line. They're probably going to have to whip up a predatory monetization system to add into this game so they can make some kind of money on it, but I don't think that's going to work. I think they would have to basically scrap everything. They'd have to rework the heroes and all of their different abilities. They'd have to rework their designs completely. A lot of the maps felt very bland and standard, so they'd have to work on those. Like, they would need 2 more years of development time, and I highly doubt that Sony wants to spend that money. Maybe they will, simply because they have already sunk so many dollars into this that they want to try to salvage it. But I think at some point, yes, they will launch it free to play. It'll have battle passes and loot boxes, and it'll just be really poorly monetized. Wouldn't shock me. Who knows, though? It says the sci-fi FPS failed to find a sizable audience, with sales numbers estimated to be shockingly low, resulting in a shutdown just days after its initial release. Yeah, I mean, as far as we heard, it sold roughly 25,000 copies, which might sound like a lot, but that only made them $1 million. And, well, $1 million doesn't go far for a company like Sony. It says, though, the official Concord merch is available at PlayStation Gear. I understand that this merch was already made and they had a stockpile, and now that the game has shut down, they're like, well, what do we do with this? And I'm sure that they're going to probably take this off their storefront after a bit of time, box everything up, and stick it in the back of a warehouse for infinity, maybe, until they re-release the game. And that's what honestly shocks me the most about this, because if they were, in theory, going to relaunch the game at some point down the line, why wouldn't they just save this merchandise? Maybe they'll actually rename Concord and they'll try to leave the controversy in the past. So they're like, oh, we might as well try to get rid of this merch. But now it's led to basically everybody memeing on them. Nobody wanted to buy this game, even though it wasn't a full price title. It was only $40. Nobody wanted to play it. And nobody took the time and the effort to support the game. Never mind having merchandise that you're trying to sell, and in my opinion, kind of overpriced. $25 for a mug isn't terrible. It is a little bit high. $30 for a beanie is a little high. $60 for a sweatshirt is ridiculous in my opinion, and then $30 for a simple t-shirt, it just doesn't add up. It's not like these are 50% off and they are trying to sell them basically at cost. That's not what they're trying to do. They really truly think that people are going to buy these items at full price. And sure, maybe somebody will buy them for the memes. I know I personally bought a physical copy of Concord for the memes, basically just to laugh at it. But I don't see anybody who actually liked Concord, all 5 of the people that liked Concord, buying this unironically. And people are brutally roasting Sony at this point, saying the first batch of merch to not sell. It's so true. Like, who would buy this? Not even a sale? That's what I'm saying. You'd think that they would at least have a sale on it, but they're trying to sell it at full price. Maybe a rogue PlayStation employee put these up and in like 2 days they'll be removed. I don't think so, but I feel like they're just continuing to cause themselves controversies. Like, they are just freely giving us reasons to point and laugh at them. Basically, ultra rare gear, okay, but who asked? I mean, ain't nobody buying that. There's nothing that you could say that could make this situation any better for them. A mug to go on your coaster, like, they could have sold physical discs of this game and marketed them as coasters. Yeah, I mean, this game just did not capture anybody's attention. Sony really bought Firewalk Studios thinking that it was going to turn out well for them. They thought that this was going to be the next major Overwatch competitor, that it was going to shake up the gaming scene and it was going to be a massive release, but that clearly didn't happen, and we could see it from a mile away that this was going to be a nightmare for them, just based on the really mediocre looking gameplay in the teasers and trailers. And of course, I did play the open beta, and it was just as bad as it had looked. The character designs are awful. The backstories were cringy. It just didn't seem like anybody on this team wanted to do their best work possible. And sure, maybe there were a few people on this team who were genuinely passionate and their work was overshadowed by the activists at this company. But at the end of the day, it just was a extremely bad game that nobody wanted to buy and nobody wanted to support. And now Sony is releasing merch that they must think is going to sell, which is absolutely pathetic. I mean, they pulled the plug on Concord less than 2 weeks after release, and it is good that they offered full refunds to anybody that bought it, and anybody who supported it got the money back. But on the flip side, they should have just created a significantly better product. Instead, they tried to make a game for modern audiences, and it was an epic failure. They focused heavily on DEI and modernity, and it turned out to be a failure of epic proportions for them. So will Sony end up re-releasing Concord as a free-to-play game? Who knows? Right now, they're trying to sell the merchandise, probably trying to make a tiny bit of money back, but I highly doubt anybody's actually going to buy these, unironically, and this is going to be another reason for tons of gamers to point and laugh at PlayStation. But that's all that I had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description. Make sure to give this a like if you enjoyed, a dislike if you didn't, and I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.